start commercial flights. And to help us understand this morning, we talked to Cornwall Mlea, the technical advisor, and Jennifer Bamturaki, the commercial director. Welcome to Morning at NTV.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you here. Before we even start this conversation, I was asking you, do you really believe in the national carrier? And I want to start from there.
Absolutely. There's no reason not to believe in it. Uganda has not had an airline.
Okay.
A national airline, and this is an opportunity for us to support our own. So there is no reason why I should not believe. Is it
just supporting our own and not really seeing the different issues that we have around it?
Well, like we were discussing before we started, there are processes to everything.
Yes.
And that's what we would like to clarify.
Now, I want to actually stick to you, the commercial director.
Yes.
What are the reasons behind the extension of the days when the commercial airline is supposed to start having commercial flights?
Well, like we said, there are processes to everything, and these processes have to do with a certification process. Yeah, and we already discussed this, that there are phases to this certification process. When the aircraft arrived on April the 23rd, we did mention that we had a 90-day period through which a lot of systems would have to be put in place apart from the certification. Cornwall would throw more light on that for you.
You talk of you had a 90-day, period to have different things figured out. Did you properly plan and say by end of July we will have the commercial flight starting? And here we are coming to the end of July and we are not seeing anything.
Yeah.
Maybe I can come in here just to explain a few things. Yeah, the 90-day process that we announced is etched in legislation.
Okay.
Yeah, so civil aviation regulation states that they'll give you the air operator certificate if all things go well within 90 days as a minimum. So it could take longer, it could take less, depending on how the structures move during that 90-day period.
Okay.
So that is the first stage of the planning process. So we would normally peg and plan our timetables based on that structure, which is acceptable internationally under the International Civil Aviation Organization. So that's what we did. Now, during this 90-day period, there are several stages and phases to this certification. There are 5 phases in total, starting with phase 1, which is the pre-application phase, where we meet and you give plans to the CAA. Then phase 2 is the formal application, where you have a management team which you can introduce and you fill out their forms, and then they ask you where you're going to fly and all sorts of things. So you put your documents in place. Phase 3 is the phase where now you have to bring documentation in terms of processes and manuals. This is how we are going to maintain the aircraft. These are the type of structures we put in place in terms of standards. This is the service we offer. These are our aircraft and their specifications. So that documentation phase is usually back and forth because you have to check and see that every part of those processes meets the regulations as set in Uganda. Now comes, after you finish that documentation phase, which is phase 3, you come to phase 4.
Where we are stuck.
Which is where we are. We are not stuck at all. We are moving actually with a lot of speed. We are steadily going through, and we have been able to reach phase 4 where we are doing demonstration. This is why you saw, I think a day or so ago, our aircraft landing in Nairobi.
In fact, I wanted to ask, because that photo has been making rounds on social media, and I want to believe that maybe a number of people have seen it, and they've been wondering what exactly is the airline doing in Jomo Kenyatta? What exactly is happening there? So I would like you to throw more light on that.
In phase 4, you have to show your Civil Aviation Authority who will give you the license that you are able to operate a safe flight.
Okay.
Now that has several components. The first one, do you have the people? Do you have the planes? Do you have the systems? Do you have the contracts that allow you to be serviced for fuel, passengers to be processed, the aircraft to be cleaned, the aircraft to be given food, water services and everything at all the points where you're going to fly. So they don't do it right here in Uganda. You have to fly with them to the destination and show them that all these things are working. That's when they allow you to sell tickets to the public. And that happens only after you've been given the air operator certificate. And that is why you have seen, and Jennifer will tell you, that we could not advertise our destinations, we cannot offer you fares, we can't open up our systems for the public to have access until after that air operator.
But again, you say after, we'll be able to do all these things after attaining the air operator certification.
Yes.
And do you think by the end of August we'll have all this in place?
Yes.
We have a program for the air operator certificate up to the end of July, as we said, within this 90 days.
Today is the 25th, so we have about 5 days.
Yes, within these next 5 days, we expect that we have finished the demonstration phase. The last part of it was yesterday in terms of the formal program when we flew to Dar es Salaam. So we expect that after that, the CAA would be doing their evaluations and making sure that we are compliant, and they would be able to issue to close phase 4, and then we move to phase 5 where they give us the air operator certificate.
And we'll be leaving the air operator certificate and the air operator, codes. There are other issues that come down to a website. How easy is it for someone to actually book a flight? Is there a website already in place to have Ugandans visit so that they can see what destinations they can go to, how much they need to pay, and how they can... Do we have that? Because we do not know we have one.
Yes, and that's why this is why you don't know, because until we have the air operator's certificate, we cannot display our fares, our routes. We cannot even, like he mentioned, even advertising. If you noticed, we were doing generic advertising, flying soon, to keep the public aware that
we're going to fly soon.
And which is by the end of this month, like he mentioned, as soon as we have our AOC, there's a lot we've been doing in the background concurrently, and one of the steps is designation. How it happens is once you have your AOC, then you start the designation process. What does that mean? You apply to the different countries where you'll be flying for permits, overflying rights, landing rights, to approve slots, meaning the time on your schedule when you should be landing. For example, in Nairobi, you have to get approval for that from the Kenya authorities. But we've done it differently with our regulator. We've done this concurrently. That's why we have a 30-day up to end of August to make sure that by mid we have all these designations coming in. And then, however, we will now start to advertise. At least you'll know the fares. You talked about the website. Yes, it will be live. Once we have our AOC, we already have all that in the background. All we have to do is once we have our AOC, then it's live the next hour.
Next hour.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about the planned destinations.
Yes.
What exactly are they so far that you have on paper?
Okay. We're going to do a phased launch. Phased, let me call it operations. I'll try and use simple language for everyone to understand.
Okay.
So our routes will be 7. We plan to do Nairobi, Dar es Salaam. We'll do Bujumbura, Kilimanjaro, Mombasa, Mogadishu, and Juba. So in the phased schedule, we'll start with 4 routes. So we'll start with Nairobi, Dar es Salaam, Mogadishu, and Juba. Then in the second phase, we'll roll out Kilimanjaro, Mombasa, Bujumbura, and which is the last one?
Bujumbura and Dar es Salaam.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I think there is a lot of things that are happening in the background, which the public are not seeing.
Yeah.
And one of the things for a national carrier that you have to do is make sure that your systems are there in the background to allow you for reservations, for booking. You have your payment gateways set up also for the website to be operational and to allow you to book your tickets and pay either with mobile money or pay with your credit cards and everything. So there is all that setup which you have to do. So as you prepare for that, you get provisional codes as you look for your AOC. Okay. Those provisional codes are in a test environment. Okay. We have to test your systems so that when we issue a ticket and you are flying from here, say, to London, we take you maybe to Nairobi, and from Nairobi you get on another carrier. So those sorts of systems, for them to communicate, they have to be tested.
Okay.
So all that was being done during this period. And we are not allowed to go live until the AOC comes in. Then you come out of your provisional codes. You show all your partners that you have the AOC, and the authorities can verify that the AOC is valid. Then you go live on the system.
So anyway, as the airline is as people continue to believe that we will soon fly, there's this article that I read where they were saying that the CRJ 900 Bombardier would be sold. Do you think the change in leadership will affect the other two aircraft that are supposed to be received in the country?
No, not at all. You know, what has happened is a change of ownership at the company for the division that manufactures the CRJ. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, as you know, they have their own aircraft development program where they are manufacturing aircraft. So they felt that they should buy into the shareholding and buy this line so that it can complement their business line. Otherwise, the facility at Bombardier will remain. They will continue to produce the aircraft. Aircraft which are coming through will be delivered on time. It doesn't affect the customer at all.
It doesn't affect the
this happens in the industry. You remember a long time ago, McDonnell Douglas was bought by Boeing. All the customers did not suffer.
So it won't at all affect the maintenance, the fueling, all the different things that have to do with the fleet or whatever has to be done?
No, it doesn't affect. In fact, you know, the operations of Bombardier continue as usual.
Okay.
Only that the ownership has changed.
And maybe finally, we know of countries that are known for their aircraft. For instance, Ethiopia, we also have Kenya, and now we have Uganda Airlines. What kind of reputation do you think all these delays is creating for the Uganda Airlines?
I think there is a perception that there's been a delay when there hasn't been. Because right now we're within the 90-day process.
Okay.
We have to announce to you the specific program after we obtain the AOC. So there is no delay. But we understand there is excitement in the industry, and we have seen it, both from all our partners, because all our partners, even these existing airlines you have mentioned, they want to partner with us to grow the market and offer services to the public.
And I just want to give you, each one of you, just a few seconds to talk to your public and about this Uganda Airlines, what they should, why they shouldn't give up on it, why they shouldn't be negative, and why they should keep positive about the Uganda Airlines.
All right. My message to my fellow Ugandans and our travelers around the world is we're going to start flying, and we will be competitive. We will offer value for money.
Yes.
And we will offer a good service. There's no delay. We're still in the 90-day process. And this excitement, whichever way it goes, whether positive or negative, works well for us because it gives us a chance to show everyone involved in this that we can turn it around.
And then Mr. Cornwell?
I think we are privileged to be living at a time when we are having a national asset come back in the air. We are going to have connectivity through this country. the people can expect a schedule that connects them to all these destinations. And as we say, this is only the beginning. After that, in 2020, December 2020, in January 2021, we get the larger aircraft, which is the A330-800 NEO. And those ones then will allow us to access overseas markets like London, Dubai, Guangzhou. So this is a solid airline, a solid project that's supported by the shareholders, and we believe that Ugandans will be proud of the service that will be offered.
Okay, we shall offer a direct service, so a lot of the via will not be there. It will be direct from one point to another point. So there will be a lot of reduction in time, and so they should expect a robust schedule.
Okay, thank you so much for coming to our studios this morning, and to the Ugandans watching us this morning. You heard it from the two officials from the Uganda Airlines. Be expectant, but us here, we have to say that we'll, of course, keep you accountable. We'll follow this up, and we'll wait to see if by the end of August we'll have the Uganda Airlines flying commercial flights. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Uganda's best dancers come from all regions of the country and converged at the capital to compete in the country's hottest dance show ever. The prize, 38 million Ugandan shillings, called Hard Cash. They survived the selection battle, but it's not over yet. Dancers will be forced